Paltrocast. A pleasure to be speaking with you both today. Theda, how's your day going aside from answering the same questions over and over and over again from lazy podcasters and writers?
My day is actually it's going so well. There have been very few repeat questions, but my answers are getting better and better.
I
It's
There
agree.
you
always a
go.
wonderful chance to improve.
The follow-up to that is, how did you first find John? Now, if I can editorialize, I've seen John in a trillion things, but once I saw John in the after party, I went, "Oh, that guy."
Thank God.
Was
I
that
love
shot during COVID
that
after
was
party?
that
Was
I
it COVID shoot?
you sent me the script when I was on that set. I read the
There you go.
script in my trailer, doll.
See,
Wow.
so I'm very fortunate. I've known John for a long time. Knew John before he was doing things like After Party or Search Party. Any of these party-based things that he's
Comedy
been
murder
involved in
mysteries.
recently. Um, so I know John from uh, New York theater, very low tier New York theater.
Yeah. Well, that's actually something I'm very curious about because going through your credits, John, I know that there's the Ars Nova in your early days, lots of improv, yet in having an HBO special, you're kind of a stand-up. You have a lot of different job titles with the whole thing. Where you're at right now with being an actor, with being a lead like you are in this film, was that a happy accident or was that the plan all along?
Ooh, well, I mean, yeah, that's the maybe not the plan, but that was the goal. Like that
Yeah.
that was the desire was certainly to have like roles that were actually required a little bit more kind of intellectual, emotional curiosity, like and sustained curiosity. I really never get to do what I got to do in this movie. I never get to do it. I mean, Search Party was an example of me playing a role over the course of like 6, 7 years, which was actually surprisingly profound. Just the repetition of it. There's something
Hmm?
very like human that happens when you do the same thing over and over again. Um, but I so rarely get to do like a lead role that requires like and thankfully this is a very intelligent and ambitious movie formally and thematically, and
Yeah.
it required like lots of discussion, and thankfully Theta and I as friends are already primed to talk a lot, and so we got to kind of get paid for the thing we already do, which is like talk a lot. Not pay very much, to be clear, but
Not paid very well. Yeah, that's the
but yeah,
conversation
I
was
mean,
its own reward.
yes, but yes, I was so it was totally thrilling to have something that required kind of a more like theater approach of like rehearsal and table work and discussion and yeah,
And memorization.
And
memorization.
memorization. Well, Theta, you also had to do the memorization thing in playing Carla, not just directing and writing and that kind of a thing. How much of Carla is there in you, the human being?
I think that Larry David has said of his character on Curb Your Enthusiasm that it's like the person he wishes he was. Like it's not an exact analogy because I know that Carla has many shortcomings, but she is unrestrained in a way that I do actually kind of admire, and I do wish that I had the ability to sort of burst in somewhere where I'm not wanted and like make myself right at home. And I think I don't know. I wrote Carla to be like flawed but magnetic.
Hmm.
Uh, and you get to cheat when you're writing because I can write another character being magnetized. I can write it so that Bahul is fascinated and not repulsed, or that
Right.
Ronald is interested and not horrified.
But
Um,
before I ask basically the same exact question to John here, what you just said about the Larry David character, as somebody who watches
yeah,
Curb Your Enthusiasm, I'm curious about that concept because just about every problem that Larry David gets into, he could have just
yeah,
solved by paying an extra $70. Just
yes.
about every single thing. So do you think he really wishes that he were more stingy?
No, I think what he wishes is that he wasn't so governed by this, by politeness and good manners, which as I'm sure he is in life. I'm sure he's actually, for all of his ornery, nature, I'm sure he's very polite and that he tips very well. And I'm sure that there's part of that that makes him long for the freedom of just being a bad person. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I can really relate to that.
But John, the lazy
Very
fellow,
polite.
same exact question that you get. The Terry character, how much of Terry is there in you? And the reason I ask that is because your roles are very, very different from project to project. In other words, we can't go, oh, John Early's in that. Okay, he's going to be falling down. Like, we don't know. We do see some physical comedy from you in this role, but that's not in every role. You're very different. You play the part that's needed.
Gosh, that's such a nice compliment because I of course feel like I'm just always reaching into the same bag of tricks. But I there's a lot of me in Terry, and I think and that was made possible because of Theda's very intimate knowledge of my like deepest insecurities and my my upbringing. I think Terry is like someone who really kind of um, uh, leads with his kind of charity. He performs a sense of like charity and put uponness, um, and uh, and he really his like kink is like suffering, you know. And I come from a kind of Protestant upbringing in which that's very much in the water. And so I think Theta really took that and like turned it up and like perverted it in a really really great way. Also, just like his back pain, I have back problems that Theta incorporated into the script, and that I think is very like symbolically potent. Um, yeah, I mean,
I think there's a. Oh, go on.
well, I was just going to quickly say, I think that there, I am always drawn to kind of playing the manic host. Um, I love like the party hosting anxiety, and I think Theta did a beautiful job of like going, well, like, okay, if that is John's like kind of strong suit comedically, how can we build that out psychologically, culturally? How can we like choose a whole kind of history for this person that can like celebrate that? I mean, that's the really vain way of looking at Theta's script. Obviously, I don't think that was her primary focus.
So
I
bringing
just think.
together, though, to rudely interrupt you, Theta,
Oh
John
no.
John is Terry hosting the
I just
party, the after party, search party. He's the party dude.
Yes. And having no fun at any of them. But by the way, I just feel like I should say that in life, John throws a beautiful party and is an
Oh,
amazing
thank
cook and
you,
a consummate host.
thank you.
But I actually think there is a way to think about things where you think, well, let's say if they're very similar to something from real life, that maybe 90% of real life is being ported over into the fiction, and there's 10% fiction. But what I feel is that the minute you decide that something is fiction, it's 100% fiction, no matter how much superficial resemblance it bears to you, to your psyche, to your real life. You have 100% moved it into the realm of fiction. It's not confessional, it's not journalistic, it's a fiction. And because 1 inch of remove from yourself is all you need to actually find distance and the ability to characterize that person. So like I just think that it's like if you try and do something radically different, you go Daniel Day-Lewis with it and where do a weird accent and grow weird facial hair, like okay, that's a certain order of fiction. Uh, uh, but I think that you can get there homeopathically just by moving 1 inch to the right or 6 inches to the right,
So
and you
you're
get it
saying
completely.
professional wrestling is real if I want it to be real.
Yes, I think it's real. Look, as they always say, are my bruises fake or is my injuries fake? Is this fake? You want to tell that to my wife and kids when I come home in a neck brace? Is that fake? No,
Valid. Well, the
it's
bottom line
real.
is you both did an excellent job with I can't speak today. Stress positions. Congratulations on the on camera and the behind the scenes work, and really looking forward to what's coming next from both of you in the near future.
Thank
Thank you, Darren, and thank you, Paltrocast.
Paltrocast.